Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. What are you looking for in a security system? Well, you're looking for a cost-effective contract, first of all. A good, smart contract. They provide that. They can beat anybody's contract. You want trustworthy installation and monitoring. You want local people doing it. Bingo, done. Safety Systems. VFL JJ Surlis and that crew have been doing this for 20 years now, and they do it well. They do it better than anybody. If you're looking for a security system, call Safety Systems or visit their website right there, safetysystems.com. All right, take a look here at the changes on the offensive staff for 2020. Jim Chaney still the offensive coordinator. T. Martin is the wide receivers coach, passing game coordinator, and assistant head coach, and Lord High Executioner, valet to the president, and et cetera, et cetera. Will Friend, offensive line coach. Jay Graham replaces David Johnson at running back. Chris Winkie, the quarterback's coach. Joe Ossovet promoted inside the staff to replace Brian Niedermeyer, tight end. Interesting note, Tennessee also adding Chip Long, former Notre Dame offensive coordinator who was with the Irish when they were in the playoffs a couple years ago. This was a highly sought-after guy a year ago, and then he gets the ouster at Notre Dame. He's joining the roster of analysts that's now miles deep at the SEC. We talked a couple of weeks ago about SEC money versus other conferences. Now these staffs are just ballooned to where you're hiring real coaches just to sit and be analysts. Chip Long and your offensive staff now. Overall thoughts on the changes there? Not as many as what you're going to see on defense. Thoughts? Reaction?
Well, I think it's bigger, because Jeremy Pruitt I think he feels like he doesn't need as many guys because he's on that side of the ball.
On defense, yeah.
And then on offense, because you have Jim Chaney there, there's that trust. I think you feel like, all right, I can have more guys there, let Jim Chaney be the head coach of the offense, and then Pruitt can spend more time on the defense. And there's more experience on that staff, too. The trust level, I think, would be a little bit higher on that side of the ball.
Yeah, I think you noticed that for sure from year one to year two with Jim Chaney. I mean, it's a good staff. In general, I think you got so many guys with, you mentioned that experience. I mean, T. Martin's been a play caller over at USC. Mm-hmm. Joe Ossovet, he's been a head coach. He's a guy who's really, really, really interesting. Interesting background. He's a guy that cold called Jeremy Pruitt to get on staff. And Pruitt, when he was filling out the staff initially, it was all guys he'd worked with and knew. Also, it was kind of the one outlier. They've really liked his addition to the staff. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that it's a group. Even with the changes that you have, guys that you can trust, guys that have proven themselves in similar positions. Whereas the first year you had a lot of guys doing new things for the first time, and that's not this group.
Yeah, it looks like a staff of a bunch of guys who are really qualified for their jobs. I mean, to coach tight ends, I think they're talking about Joe Ossovet, very respected as a voice in that office room. Jay Graham, we've talked about his qualifications, and then the other guys being there together. I think it's a good-looking staff, and then Chip Long coming in. That's an example of it means more in the SEC. So you're able to add that guy who's respected.
It pays more.
It pays more. So he's able to help that offensive staff, and however an analyst support staff member does.
And I just think it's interesting. You look at that, and I think Chaney being here for 2 years in a row, your offense being here for 2 years in a row. Even if you have even more coaching changes within that, since Chaney is here and you still got Winkie at quarterback, I think that's going to help Tennessee next year on the field because this is the first time in years that you have continuity on that side of the ball, that you're basically going to be doing the same things. And so I think it's the changes that were made, I think it's funny about Friend. I mean, you go back 18 months, and if there was any coach in East Tennessee at any level that people wanted fired, it was him, and now they love him.
Yeah. He's the only guy that's been on the staff and had the same position for 3 straight years in the Pruitt. And then the thing I like is the Chip Long. Who knows what his role is going to be over there? I've seen rumors and reports as to what it's going to be. But the bottom line is this. When you're starting to get smarter people in the room and more of them, that can't be a bad thing. Mm-hmm. So you're starting to run the way LSU runs, Alabama runs, Georgia runs. I think part of that is the increased SEC money. Part of it is having Philip Fulmer back, a football coach who is going to say all money goes to football because it's going to help everything else. And I think he's got, as he has said, people around him and above him who understand, you need this, Philip? There you go. And he passes it. I think that's good. I think that's a very good sign. When we come back, we're going to talk defense, a little more time on the defensive staff because it has flipped. Come on back.